What's going on, guys? This is Chandler Smith, and in this video, I'm gonna share with you why I just dropped out of college. I'm also gonna share why you should too. So with all of that being said, let's jump into it. All right, guys, if you're new to the channel, my name is Chandler Smith, and I've been investing in real estate for the last 8 years. I currently own over $13 million of real estate, and just this year, my sales organization ended up doing over 15 million in sales. Now, if you're wondering how old I am getting up there. I actually just turned 30, and I also just dropped out of college this year. Now, I'm sure a lot of you are wondering how on earth I was able to stay in college all of this time. I know those of you that watch the channel probably just assumed that I graduated, and for a long time I have held off, one, completely dropping out, and two, getting to the point where I could share it with you. So in this video, I think you might actually be surprised by what I shared, because I'm not one of those people that's adamant about you not going to college. As a matter of fact, I'm not even one of those people that's adamant about you dropping out. However, I do believe that for some people, going to college isn't right. I believe that dropping out is right. And I also believe that for some people, staying in college is the right thing to do as well. And so if you're at a place in life where you really don't know whether you should go to college or whether you should continue to go to college, I truly believe this video will help you make that decision and make it in the right way. So now that we've covered all of that, all that I ask you to do is make sure that you smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the little bell so you can catch my future videos where my goal is to help you to build a huge passive income. So let's just jump right into things. First off, all through high school, I got straight A's and maybe one B from a very messed up math teacher. So in high school, I was one of those people that was adamant about doing the right thing and getting good grades, and I excelled in it. I did pretty well through high school. After high school, I served a mission, and then I came back and I jumped right into college. Now, I had big goals to go and get my accounting degree and then go on to do law school and then practice as a lawyer. So that was my plan. I also was very poor because I had blown through all the money I'd made in high school knocking doors and mowing lawns, and I was kind of pinned because I was mooching off my parents, and I really didn't want to do that. I wanted to make money on my own so that I could afford college, I could afford my living. So I started applying, and nobody would hire me. I finally found a place that actually hired door-to-door salesmen for a pest control company. And they told me that the average person made $24,000 in a summer. Now, this was 8 years ago, and $24,000 sounded absurdly good. And I figured, hey, I'm at least average. I get all A's in school. I should go and try this. So I went out, totally got my face smashed in. But after the first week of not selling any pest control, I got to the point where it started to click, and I actually found out I was a pretty good salesman. That summer, I sold 459 accounts. I broke the rookie record at the company, and I walked away with over $96,000 after working less than 4 months. So at this point, I came back to college, and I was hyped. I thought, hey, I can get through school completely debt-free. I can go blow through my accounting degree. I'll just work in the summers. I'll focus 100% on school. I did 16 plus credits every semester. I got straight A's, and all was well. Now, I went out the next summer. I ended up selling extremely well. A lot of the people that I had recruited and hired and then trained during the summer also did well. And so that year I ended up making $144,000. Now, at this point, I had pretty much banked everything that I hadn't spent on taxes or the, $10,000 to $15,000 a year for housing and school. And so I was sitting pretty. And I decided, you know what? My plan is awesome. I'm going to continue to go through school. However, I should probably find a good place to put this money. So I looked into stocks, bonds, IRAs, everything else, and I decided that real estate was going to be the right place for me to put my money. So I invested $90 some odd thousand into giving someone a loan to purchase a property that was worth $150,000. They had got it under market value, and they had a big down payment, but they had terrible credit, and so they needed to borrow that money from me. So I lent it to them. I think it was at 9.5%, and that interest rate was going to go up every year that they didn't pay that back to me. So I was pumped. Now I'm getting a check every single month. My money is locked up and getting me a return, and it was in a place where I wasn't going to spend it, and I started recruiting again and training sales reps to go out for another summer. Now this next summer is where things really kind of went crazy for me. I continued to get good grades. I was through a good chunk of college, and I went out and I made just shy of $250,000 that next summer. After this summer, I started to reevaluate my life because I just made almost $250,000 in a 4-month period knocking doors and selling pest control. And so I started to look into what I could make as a lawyer, especially in the area that I wanted to live. And I recognized that, unless I was the top 1% in the area that I wanted to raise my family, I probably had tapped out my income that I could make as a lawyer. And in order to be a lawyer, I still had to finish my undergrad. I still had to finish law school. I had to take the bar exam. I had to work as a grunt worker for some law firm for a couple years and then hope that I could get into a place where I could make great money as a lawyer after taking on a ton of debt. Now, I wasn't gonna have to take on a ton of debt because I had made a ton of money, but because I'd made a ton of money, I started to ask myself, why am I going to school? And it came down to a couple things. I wanted to educate myself. I wanted to progress, but really I wanted to make money and find a career so that I could provide for my family for the rest of my life. And so I kind of put 2 and 2 together that, hey, all of these things are still possible if I'm not attending school and if I'm making the kind of money I am selling pest control door to door. Now, I also recognize that selling pest control door to door isn't something that would function really well long term if I wanted to spend the summers with my family because every summer I had to go out. So I had a couple switches in the way that I viewed things. Switch number 1 was that I have to get to a point where I've worked up in the company where I can put myself in a place where I can duplicate myself, where I can scale by hiring people, training them to do what I was doing and make money off of their sales. Now, this is awesome because now I get to train someone. I get to give them the same opportunity to make crazy money in college, but also I get the opportunity to train them, to learn how to lead, and to be able to make money for the recruiting and hiring and training that I did. And so it was this incredible opportunity where I was going to continue to sell, but I also saw an end game of being able to manage hundreds of sales reps and be able to continue to make money doing this path. And so I can't tell you I was 100% all in, but it really started to register that, hey, I wanted to find a place I could progress, which this gave a ton of progression, a ton of opportunity to learn sales, to learn leadership, and to make a ton of money, and to invest. Because at this point, I had bought another investment property, and I was starting to buy more and more investment properties. And so all of those things that I wanted, it worked. I could provide for my family, I could progress, I could learn new skills. I was still attending college and learning a ton from my accounting degree that was carrying over into a lot of the real estate stuff I was doing, but I was also purchasing a lot of books that were helping me understand how to be an entrepreneur, how to invest in real estate, how to do all of those things, how to personally hack my brain and read a bunch of self-help books so that I was more happy, I was more positive, I was more successful in the way that I handled interactions with other people, in the way that I trained my sales reps. And so all of a sudden I recognized that college wasn't the only way for me to accomplish all of my goals that I had that were keeping me going to college. Now, unfortunately, and this is just the honest truth, unfortunately, I didn't have the guts or the courage to say I'm completely done with college at this point. And honestly, looking back, it's good that I didn't, because college ended up helping me find my wife, helping me create a ton of awesome relationships that I still have today, and learning some skills while continuing to go through my accounting degree that carried over in a big way to my real estate business that now has been able to grow into, me owning over $13 million worth of real estate. And so it was good that I didn't bail there, and I wanna make sure that I make this point because there are lots of advantages that come from college. But hold your jets, I'm gonna talk about this later, and so that you can weigh out the pros and cons of whether you should do college or not. But for me at this point, I recognized that college needed to be secondary, and that I needed to make what I believed was my career, which was hiring, training, managing sales reps, and building a sales organization. I needed to make that number one. So I dropped my credit load way down at school. I was going to continue to do it. It still gave me a bunch of opportunities to date, a bunch of opportunities to meet other driven people, and it helped me to pick the classes that I thought were actually going to help me in my career and in investing. And I loved accounting. I loved the numbers. I loved all of that. So I was still taking some pretty hard accounting classes, but I was taking a lot lower credit load. And so now I'm loving school because I'm doing things that I really enjoy, like classes that I truly believe I'm learning something. I'm not as stressed about grades as I used to. So I'm getting a B or C here or there, but it's just because I wasn't going to waste my time on busy work where if I understood the principle, I was going to be good with it. And if I got into a test and I wasn't going to, study my brains out to memorize some of the dumb stuff, as long as I got the general principles and I understood things, for me, I got everything that I wanted out of that class. And so I didn't really have as much guilt not getting the straight A's I had before. So everything started to change. The next year, my business exploded with finding and hiring incredible sales reps, with my personal sales, and with managing those sales reps. And so my income almost doubled that next year. It was incredible. I didn't quite clear $500,000, but I made a lot of money with my sales organization. And it was because I was able to shift and put focus where focus needed to be. Now, here's where the story gets interesting, because I continued to go to college, but I stopped finding classes that were useful. I started doing classes to just stay in college and hopefully get a degree. And so my grades were getting worse and worse. I was still passing classes, but I wasn't getting as much out of it because now I was purchasing a lot of real estate. I found my wife. I got into this place where I had everything I wanted in this direction, and school was providing zero value. And I'm sure a lot of you are saying, well, Chandler, why didn't you just crank it out? At this point, you're right at the end, and you're right. As a matter of fact, I got down to where I had 9 credits left, and I was taking a half credit a semester just so that I could stay enrolled in school and hopefully get my degree. But they wanted me to do an accounting internship, and they wanted me to do some very time-intensive classes, and they were pushing me to graduate quickly. And the reality is, this side of things, with my business, with real estate, with all of that, it was consuming all of my time. And so now I had to look in the mirror and say, all right, do I want to spend an hour over here that's probably going to pay me $500 to $1,000 for every hour I put in? Or do I want to go and sit through a class and study for something that is going to bring zero value to me? It's not going to make me more money because I know I'm not going to do this as a career path. It's not going to help me with some future interview because no one cares. With this production, no one cares whether I have a degree or not at this point. The only reason I was staying in school is because I felt guilt. I felt that I needed to do what I had started. I needed to finish it. But also there was lots of social pressure. I still had, friends and family and other people, not close friends and family, but distant friends and family that would come up and say, hey, have you graduated yet? And that stung. It didn't matter how much money I was making. I still had to say, you know what? No, I didn't graduate. I'm still kind of working on that. And so there was a lot of social pressure for me to get my degree, for me to get that piece of paper. And this is where I want to kind of advise you if you're in a place where you're trying to decide whether you should do college or not. I think that we live in a time where it's very easy to say, oh, this is hard and I'm going to quit. And I think anytime you're quitting something because it's hard, you're probably making the wrong choice. Because the reality is going to school and doing door-to-door sales and purchasing real estate, it all was very hard. It was very difficult, but I knew I needed to do it because I wasn't to a point where I knew this was 100% the path I needed to take. Now, once I got there, I should have pulled the plug sooner because now I have something that I've built that I know is going to pay me more per hour. I know I'm going to enjoy. I know I'm going to accomplish everything that was on my list to accomplish when I started college. And I think that's what's important. So if you're in a place sitting here watching this video and you're saying, Chandler, should I do college or should I not? I would say this: if you don't have any other better option, if you don't already know 100% what you want to do or where your time is going to be best spent or where you're going to be able to check off whatever your list is of all of those things, with providing for your family, with progressing, with whatever else is on your list, if you don't have that, I do 100% believe that you should go to college. However, there's a little caveat with that. I don't believe you should go drop $100,000 on the most expensive college. I think that you should find a college that gives you the ability to go and check out a bunch of different options to see if you're an accountant or a doctor or a lawyer or any of these other things where the only way you can become that is through going to school and getting your degree and getting postgraduate education. And so that you can go and experiment. You can have a chance to see how you do in different things, and you can learn how to learn, because I truly believe college helped me. It was good for me to have deadlines. It was good for me to see what I liked and what I didn't like. And it was good for me to be pushed and experience that and be around other people and date other people and do all of those things. And school carries a ton of value with that. However, if you get to the point where you know 100% what you want to do and you've already tried it and you have excelled in it to the point where spending time there is more valuable because you check off everything on your list, then it's time to bail on college. Because there is nothing good, there's nothing respectable about continuing to go through college when you know that you're not going to use anything with that piece of paper or with any of the knowledge you're acquiring while going there. Now, if you want to get a degree because it's going to help you in what you're going to treat as your career, then yes, of course, continue to do it. And even if it's hard, even if it's difficult, finish college. But if it doesn't bring any new value, why would you continue to waste money and waste time if you've already found what's going to help you check off all of those boxes? And I think that is where our society is so messed up, is we push college, 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 and there's this sense of shame if you end up bailing on college, even if you're able to check off every one of those boxes. And so I see so many people that stick it out in college and they miss opportunities that could have been life-changing, that they already experimented with, that they already excelled in, to go and finish college, and they miss out on those opportunities. However, if you're one of those people that says, you know what, I want to check it out, and you decide that you love the medical field, or you want to be a dentist, or you want to be an engineer, or you want to be a lawyer, you want to be one of these other things, and that's what you're passionate about, then go for it. Do it! College is incredible because it's laid out so that you can get there. And it's the only way that's laid out so that you can get there. And so if that's who you are, there should be no shame in that either. When I see these people that come out and say, college is a joke, don't go to college, it's a total scam, it really offends me, because there are people that make the world run, that love their jobs, they're passionate about it, and they make plenty of money to provide for their family and put themselves in an incredible place and check off all of those boxes. And the only way for them to check off those boxes is by taking the college approach. And so there's not a right or wrong answer. However, I do think we have to step back and say there is a good and bad for each individual. And when they figure out what their good is, they need to go all in on it, and they don't need to be worried about what other people think, because whether you go to college or whether you don't, it's okay, as long as you can check off the boxes and you're happy with where you end up. All right, guys, the cat's out of the bag, and I'm gonna be honest with you, it feels pretty good to have told the world that I am 100% done with college, because I let it drag on for way too long. I mean, I literally have been enrolled in college for like 9 years before finally pulling the plug. And for the last couple of years, I've been doing like a half credit a semester and then deferring every semester as well. So I've been doing like a half credit per year of college, which is absolutely asinine in my opinion. It's super stupid, but I finally came to terms with the fact that I truly believe this is the right decision. And even though I'll never have that piece of paper, I'm very happy with my decision because of everything else that I've been able to accomplish. So with that being said, there are a couple zingers that I really want to push upon all of you. And so you might love me, you might hate me for these, but here are a couple things that if you're trying to decide what to do, you need to hear them. Number one, super expensive college when you don't know what you want to do yet is an absolute waste of money, in my opinion. If you're gonna go to some Harvard when you have no idea what you wanna do with your life and you're very confused, I personally don't think that makes sense. Now, if you're someone that says, Chandler, since the day I was born to right now, I know I want to be a lawyer and I know I want to go to Harvard and I know those connections are going to be a game changer for me, you do you. I totally understand that perspective. However, if you're unsure about your future, what profession you want to pick, go to a school that's cheap and go experiment there and go meet cool people there. Now, this is where you have to make the determination of the relationships you'll acquire, because trust me, going to Harvard is going to give you a ton of killer relationships. However, if you're going to go throw money away and end up depressed because you can't compete with everyone else and end up failing and then putting yourself in a place where you don't have the confidence to do something next, probably not worth it to go blow money on Harvard. So that's my first zinger. My next zinger, if you're sitting there saying, all right, sick, I'm not going to college, screw my parents, I'm gonna go do my thing, and you haven't made any money or had any success checking off any of those boxes doing something else, I personally think you're a little bit of an idiot, because college is not that expensive, especially the way things are structured now, if you pick the right college. And if you don't know what you want to do, I don't think it's a bad idea for you to go and be held accountable and go and try to get good grades, spend your own money on education, and put yourself in a place where you can experiment with a couple different things. Now, can you learn everything on YouTube? 100%. And if you're passionate about something, then find a way you can be accountable if you're not going to go to college. However, for a lot of people that are 19, 20, 21, I deal with kids like you all day, every day, and the reality is a lot of you aren't the best decision makers. Don't take offense to that, but it's probably a good idea for you to go and spend a couple $1,000s a year in college so that you can experiment with things and be held to a standard. The next zinger, if you're one of those people that doesn't know what you're doing with your life and you do decide to go to college and then you're not going to classes, you're not studying hard, you're not attempting to work hard, then again, you are a total idiot. One quote I heard, and I think it might have even been Grant Cardone, I'm not sure who said this, but it is that you should do something until you are the best at it and then decide if you want to continue doing that or do something else. Because here's the reality. Everybody talks about finding their passion. They talk about how if you find the right profession, you'll never work a day in your life. That is bull. It's total garbage. If you look at professional athletes, you look at artists, you look at actors, you look at any of those people and ask them if they've ever felt like they've worked a day in their life, I promise you, they've been through days that were miserable because they were passionate about it, yes, but some days I'm sure they questioned whether they wanted to keep doing it. I'm sure they questioned whether they enjoyed it or whether they were passionate about it, but they pushed through and did the hard thing. And so if you're in a place where you're trying dozens of different things and you'll try it for 5 days and say, oh, this sucks, I'm bad at it, you're wasting your life to not settle in and give certain things a chance. And so if you're going to try college, show up, put in the hours, take a lot of classes, work hard, and push yourself to be an A student, because it's a lot easier to be an A student than it is to be a C student, and I truly believe that. If you become extremely good at something and you still don't love it and you want to do something else, then maybe it's time to jump. But from what I've found, if you experiment, you try a couple different things, but you really push to try them until you can see if you're going to be good at it or not, then you can make an educated decision. And I think one of the worst parts about our generation right now, it isn't that we're lazy, it isn't that all of the things that have been said about millennials or about whatever else they're called that are younger than millennials, but the problem is we hop around too much. We don't settle in and really try something, and I've seen that a lot with this generation where it's like, look, you're actually really good at this, and I know it's hard, but you're good at it, so push through that hard thing and then make the decision on whether you want to keep doing it or not. The last thing I want to throw in here is go all in. If you think you're the Harvard guy, go all in, give it everything you've got. If you think that you're not a college guy and you've got something else that's going to be more valuable and check off your boxes, go all in on it. And that's something that I have to look back and I have to own that I made a mistake waiting as long as I did to pull the plug on college, because any time I spent on probably the last 10 credits I took were a complete and total waste of time, because I was just trying to check off the box to get a piece of paper when I could have been spending those hours on something that I already knew was going to be my career, that I already knew I loved and I was passionate about. And it's super hard a lot of the time, but it's worth it because it checks off all of my boxes. Now, if you enjoyed this video, please make sure you smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the little bell. And if you disagree with me, let me know in the comments. There are so many people right now that I know are trying to decide which direction they should go. And as many different thought processes as they can take in, I truly believe that's going to be a good thing for them. So if you've got comments, if you disagree with anything I've said, let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear what you think. And again, make sure you smash that like button. I'm gonna look forward to seeing you in the future videos where my goal is to help you to build a huge passive income. Thanks guys, have a great day.